Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It is another day, another TBR jar video. So as always, I can't believe it's time to choose my November TBR. I feel like November has totally snuck up on me and we are so close to the end of the year, which feels insane. I feel like 2025 has just flown by. There has been a lot going on, lots of highs, lots of lows, and honestly, I'm feeling really motivated and ready for a new year. So I'm hoping that we can finish off the year with two really, really strong reading months. But before we get into the jar and prompts and the books on the cart, which as I've taken some books off for my TBRs, I have added back. So I did add a few more books after we picked our 6 reads for October. So you might see a few new items on here, which I'm really excited about. But I do also have a few other books that I recently picked up that I just wanted to mention before we got into the prompts. So, first and foremost, this book is pretty high on my TBR. I've been hearing lots of great things about Alchemized, and so I had to pick this up. And I was kind of kicking myself because I visited a semi local to me bookstore that I really love, and they had signed copies of this, and I talked myself out of buying it because I didn't want to spend money. And then I saw it again on a Barnes trip, and I had heard a little bit more about the book, and I just couldn't pass up picking it up. So I really wish I had picked up that signed copy, but lesson learned, if you feel drawn to it, pick it up when you see it. Don't wait, because ultimately I ended up buying it anyways. But I am going to consider this as one of the books that I can choose from today. I just obviously could not squeeze this big old book onto this cart today, so this will be set to the side, but this is going to be one of my options if I have a prompt that fits this. And then in addition to that, I have a few other books that I recently picked up, and they're not going to be contenders for the TBR, but that's because I have it planned to read them for a different video anyway, so I'm going to read them regardless. And those are the 6 books that make up the Booker Prize shortlist. Now, I said 6 books, and you're only seeing 5 here. That's because the 6th book wasn't available yet to pick up as a hardcover in the US. So I did go ahead and get a digital version of the 6th book, but I just wanted to mention that I have all 6 of these and I'm feeling very excited about reading all of them. I plan to take a lot of time with these and do lots of annotation and really spend a little bit more time reading these critically before they announce the winner of the Booker Prize. So stay tuned. Hopefully I can get to these before then. They will announce that in November, and I can share my thoughts with you about each of these books, but also my thoughts on who ends up winning the Booker Prize. So very excited about those. All right, without further ado, love that every time. That was probably loud as heck for y'all. Let's get into the exciting part of the video. So prompt number 1. All right, our first prompt is going to be a book written by an author with my initials, which is funny because we got this one last month and I had to reject it because I didn't have any books by an author with my initials on the cart. So hopefully we might do a little better today. We'll see what we can do. So let's take a look. I honestly would settle for an author who has at least a first name starting with H, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time. And I just realized I recently listened to an audiobook of this, so this is coming off the cart, which does free up a little more space. If I so choose, I might shove something else in there to pick from. But I think the best I'm going to be able to do is to get a book by an author with the same first initial as me, and I do have Hannah Bonham Young. And this is her newest release, People Watching, which I am actually really excited to get into. And I feel like this will help me to kind of shift from spooky season into regular fall season, at least based on the cover art. It's giving very fall colors. So I think this would be a really fun read. And I definitely think it's the only one on the cart that's going to apply for this prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and say People Watching is the first book on my November TBR. All right, let's get our second prompt here. Oh, prompt number 2 is a free pick, y'all. That is so great. I am so excited. All right, I will tell you right off the bat, I'm pretty tempted to pick Alchemized, which, by the way, if you haven't held a copy of this book, please go grab one because I feel like I'm lifting weights every time I pick this up. But this is the first one that I am like desperate to read, but let's take a quick look at the cart before I settle on this. I've also really been loving Octavia Butler, so I have Kindred and Parable of the Sower here, which I know Parable of the Sower is part of a series, so I don't want to pick that up until I finish the Exogenesis trilogy if possible. Kindred might be standalone, so that could be a really good contender. I've really been wanting to read the Thursday Murder Club as well. And it's definitely a goal of mine to get to Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice before the end of November because I just feel like this has to be a fall read. If I don't read this before I feel like winter starts, it's not going to get read until next year. So this is definitely a high priority for me right now as well. I don't know. I have so many good options that I am really, really wanting to get to, but it's been a long time since I have allowed myself to pick up a new book and read it right away when I'm really excited about it. So for that reason, I do think I'm going to go with Alchemized. Honestly, it's not like anyone's having to twist my arm to pick this. I really, really, really want to read this. And so I feel confident that if this is on my November TBR, I will definitely be getting to it. So I'm going to pick this for my free pick. And I'm honestly so excited that I pulled that prompt today because I feel like I could not have gotten a better prompt when I just picked up a book that I am so extremely excited about. All right, 2 down, 4 more to go. Let's see what our third prompt is going to be. Oh, fun. She's going to love this. My third prompt today is that my mom chooses. So before when I did this with my dad, my mom was really excited about it, which is how I know she's going to be excited. I sent him just a picture of a few books, but I think I'm going to send her the whole TBR cart and we will see which one she thinks I should read. Okay, I'm excited to see what she's gonna say. So we will leave that and we will check at the end of the video to see what book she's picked. And if she hasn't picked by the end of the video, I will give her a call and have her choose for me. So let's get on to prompt number 4. We are over halfway. Okay, prompt number 4 is going to be a translated work, which is really exciting because one of my goals this year has been to read more translated works, and I know that I have some, whether here on the cart or on my TBR shelf. So let's take a look first at the cart. So I know for sure that Strange Houses was originally written in Japanese, I'm pretty sure. So this is definitely a translated work. Yep, and it says right there on the cover the name of the translator. So I do have this one on my cart, which I've been really excited about this. And this could be perfect right at the start of November, kind of to round out spooky season. Let's see if I have any other options in addition to this though. Okay, I don't believe I have any others on the cart, but I am gonna just pop over to my TBR shelf really quick and grab another option, and I'll come right back to you. All right, I did have 2 more translated works that I have been really excited about getting to right here on my TBR shelf, and they are What You Were Looking For Is in the Library, which also was originally published in Japanese, as well as Kafka on the Shore by Murakami, which also was originally published in Japanese. One thing that does aggravate me, because Murakami is a really, really popular author and one that is read really widely, is that it actually doesn't have information about the translator on the cover. And you don't actually get information about who the translator was until you get into this first page. So I just like to see when books are giving those flowers to their translators, because I think it plays a huge role in how the book reads after it's translated and staying really true to that source material. So that bothers me a little bit, but at least I do have 3 books to choose from, and I actually picked this one up while I was on a trip to Boston. So I've got this lovely little bookmark that the bookstore gave me still here in the front of the book, which was a really sweet find to come across when picking that up. Definitely makes me miss Boston. I really want to go back. But the 3 books that I have to choose from are Kafka on the Shore, Strange Houses, and What You Were Looking For Is in the Library. And I will say that as much as I want to read Strange Houses, I am kind of hoping that I'll be able to read this before the end of October, because I am filming this in October, so I don't necessarily want to put it on my November TBR if I'm going to try to read it in the next week or so. So I think I'm going to take that one out. And then between these 2, I feel like it's a really hard pick for me, because I think that What You Were Looking For Is in the Library definitely has the vibes I'm wanting for November, but Kafka on the Shore is a book that I've been wanting to get to, and I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot more serious reading and really be in that mental headspace to do some more critical reading, because I am going to be reading that Booker Prize shortlist for a video. So I honestly think I'm leaning towards Kafka on the Shore. I think it's time for me to tackle it. I've been a little nervous to get into it, and if I've got this prompt right now, there's no reason that I shouldn't pick it up. So I'm going to go with Kafka on the Shore as my pick for this prompt. All right, let's go for prompt number 5. These videos always go by too fast. I always want to pull an extra prompt at the end, even though I know that I want to leave plenty of time for mood reading in my month. I just have so much fun pulling prompts and letting them choose my reads, but I will restrain myself and not pick an extra. All right, so we've got Let Pinterest Choose. Okay, I haven't tried to do this before, but I think this will be really fun. I've seen where some people have let Pinterest choose their reads for a week, and I was definitely inspired by that. So I will screen record, and we are going to search for some books on Pinterest. So I think this might be difficult just because I don't know if a lot of what I have would necessarily come up in a quick Pinterest search, but we can definitely see what comes up. Just in general, my main page is normally a lot of bullet journaling stuff and recipes, so I don't right off the bat have any books on my recommended page, but let's try just to search like November reads and see what we get. All right, November reads. Okay, and I'm gonna look for one that actually has pictures of books. I don't want to have to go into any of these. I saw that this one has The Night Circus, which I definitely have The Night Circus, but I don't have it here on my TBR card, I don't think. No, I have The Starless Sea, which I believe is the same author, but I don't have The Night Circus on here, so we will keep searching. Okay. I feel like I'm gonna run into the issue of either not having the books or them not being on my TBR cart a lot, but we will persist, not a problem. I do think I have The House Witch on Kindle Unlimited, so if it comes down to it, I can read that. I have read The 13th Tale. What about these? Nobody's reading Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. Let's see this one. I'm totally striking out. I feel like there's so many books on here that are the exact same vibe as Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice, and nobody's including it in these. Okay, maybe this one. Nope. We've done it. I finally found one that had Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice on it, so that's what I'm gonna go with, which that was not 100% intentional. I just figured based on a lot of what was coming up that Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice was going to be the most likely book to come up just because there were a lot of fall themed romances. But genuinely, in all of those other posts, I didn't see a single other book that I haven't already read or that I have here on the cart. So Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice is going to be our book number 5 for our prompts. And we are down to our last prompt, and then we'll get to see what my mom has picked for me. I think I saw a text come across from her, so I'm excited to see. Ooh, okay, so this is gonna be a content creator's 5-star read, and I'm gonna go to someone who I implicitly trust with their book opinions because I don't want to end up with a dud. So I'm gonna go over to Goodreads, and I follow Plant-Based Bride on here, Elizabeth, so I'm gonna try to look at her books and see if I can find a 5-star read. Oh, look, she has a category on here titled 5-star reads. How lucky is that? Okay, and now hopefully I will have one of these on my cart. Now, The Life of Chuck is a short story in If It Bleeds, which I can see it, but I can't reach it. But I will be reading that before the end of October, which I'm really excited about. I have read some of these. I've read I Cheerfully Refuse. I feel like I might have The Reformatory on Kindle. Let me check really quick. Okay, I do have The Reformatory on Kindle Unlimited, so that's definitely an option. Perfect. I have Giovanni's Room right here. I knew I could trust Elizabeth to have some good picks. So that will be the BookTubers 5-star read that we are going to go with. So I will be reading Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. That's going to be book number 6 on the TBR. So let's check out what my mom has said. All right. Y'all aren't gonna believe this. I'm gonna insert a screenshot, but she picked Strange Houses. So I'm tempted to text her back and make her pick another one because I do think I'm gonna get to this soon, but I want to honor her pick, and honestly, we're in alignment. She must just know that I want to read it. So that is perfect. Strange Houses is going to be the final book on my TBR for November. So let's take a quick look back through everything that we picked. So we've got Strange Houses, which was my mom's pick. We've got Giovanni's Room based on Elizabeth's 5-star reads. Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. Thank you so much, Pinterest. We have Kafka on the Shore for my translated work. Alchemized as my free pick, which I'm just so freaking excited about. And lastly, People Watching, because we both have first names that start with the best letter there is, which is H. But that is going to be everything on my TBR for November. So I am so excited about this stack of books. I typically am pretty excited by the books that we pull using the TBR jar prompts, but honestly, I feel like this is such a good lineup and I feel really confident about getting to all of these in November. So if you want to see if I get to these, you'll have to come back later on when I do my November reading wrap up. And if you're curious about the books that I picked in October and whether or not I finished them, I will let you know in my October wrap up that will be posted shortly after November starts. And please let me know. I've noticed that a lot of people are starting to include a review of their previous month's TBR in their TBR jar video or in their TBR prompt video, but I typically record these before the month is over, so I'm not typically done reading for the month, and normally that means I'm not done with all of my TBR books yet when I record these. But if you would prefer for me to give a recap and let you know what I have and have not read from my previous month's TBR in these videos, I would just need to record them a little bit later after the next month starts. So just let me know if that's something that you would prefer, and I can change up my filming schedule a little bit so that I can include a recap of my previous month's books in my TBR video for the next month. But that being said, let me know if there's any books that you're really excited about for November, and let me know if you've read any of these 6 and how you felt about them. I'm super excited, and I would love to hear if you had positive or negative experiences with them, and we can chat about that down in the comments. But that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!